Ambassador Elias Vance stood near the massive window of Unity Station and watched the stars. Tonight was special. Tonight marked exactly 150 years since humanity saved the Valoran species from extinction. The station was filled with music, laughter, and the warm glow of celebration. Elias remembered the old stories his grandfather used to tell. 150 years ago, human exploration ships found the Valorans dying on their homeworld. A terrible plague had killed billions of them. They had no cure. They had no hope. They were waiting to disappear from the universe forever, but humanity did something unexpected. Instead of taking the Valoran resources or ignoring their suffering, humans sent medical ships. They shared food and technology. They worked side by side with Valoran scientists until they found a cure. It took 10 years and cost humanity greatly during their own difficult expansion era. But they did it anyway. The Valorans survived. They recovered. They flourished. And tonight, representatives from both species celebrated their eternal friendship. Elias smiled as he watched Valoran and human children playing together near the fountain. This was his life's work. 40 years as a diplomat, building bridges between the two civilizations. His daughter Kira often teased him about being too idealistic, but moments like this proved that peace was possible. His communicator buzzed softly. He looked down and saw Kira's face on the small screen. "Happy anniversary, Dad," she said with a warm smile. Commander Kira Vance was aboard her patrol ship, the Starfall, keeping watch over the celebration from nearby space. "Thank you, sweetheart. You should be here. The Valoran wine is excellent." Kira laughed. "Someone has to make sure nobody crashes the party. Besides, I prefer the view from up here." Elias noticed something in her expression. A small wrinkle of concern on her forehead. "What is it?" "Probably nothing," Kira said slowly. "I have been tracking some unusual Valoran fleet movements in the outer sectors. Heavy cruisers repositioning without any scheduled exercises. Tonight is a celebration. Perhaps they are arranging some kind of display. Perhaps." Kira did not sound convinced. "I have requested clarification from Valoran Command, but they have not responded yet." Elias looked across the grand hall at High Ambassador Zilox, the supreme leader of the Valoran people. Zilox was tall and elegant, with silver skin that reflected the lights beautifully. He was giving a speech about brotherhood and shared destiny. "I am sure it is nothing," Elias said. "Zilox himself told me this morning that Valoran gratitude toward humanity will last for eternity." "I hope you are right." "Dad, I really do." He said goodnight, and Elias returned to the celebration. At exactly midnight, the lights on Unity Station flickered. Elias felt a strange vibration beneath his feet. He looked around and saw confusion on human faces. But the Valorans were not confused. They were moving quietly, deliberately, toward the exits. Then the first explosion hit. The window behind Elias cracked as a Valoran warship fired directly at the station. Alarms screamed. People ran in every direction. Elias grabbed a young human woman and pulled her away from the shattering glass. Just before it exploded inward, his communicator filled with desperate voices. Attack on Earth, attack on Colony 7, attack on the Mars settlements. Every human world was being hit simultaneously. Elias could not believe what he was hearing. This was impossible. This was insane. He looked across the chaos and found High Ambassador Zilox standing calmly near the exit. Their eyes met. Zilox showed no emotion. No regret, no explanation. He simply turned and walked away. 150 years of peace ended in a single moment. Aboard the Starfall, Kira watched in horror as the Valoran ships she had been tracking opened fire on everything human. Her patrol ship was small and fast, but she was surrounded by enemies. "All ships, this is Commander Vance," she shouted into her communicator. "We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. All human vessels, defend yourselves." But there was almost nothing to defend with. The human military ships were scattered, unprepared, trusting. The Valorans had planned this perfectly. Kira pushed her ship to maximum speed, dodging plasma fire and debris. She had to reach Unity Station. She had to find her father, But when she arrived, the station was already breaking apart. "Dad," she whispered, scanning desperately for life signs. "Dad, please respond." Static. Then, faintly, her father's voice. "Kira, I am getting survivors to the escape pods. The Valorans. They have gone mad. Hold on. I am coming to get you." "No." His voice was firm despite the chaos around him. "There are children here. I have to make sure they get out. You need to survive, Kira. Someone has to survive, and remember who we are." "Dad, please, I love you, sweetheart. Never forget that humanity's greatest strength is not our weapons or our technology. It is our heart. Promise me you will remember that." Communication cut off as Unity Station exploded. Kira screamed. She screamed until her throat burned and her eyes blurred with tears. But she did not stop flying. She could not stop. Her father had given her an order. Survive. For the next several hours, Kira flew through hell. She watched Earth burn from orbit. Billions of people, thousands of years of history. Everything that made humanity what it was, gone in a single night. The blue marble that had birthed her species turned black and orange with fire. She picked up survivors when she could. Her small ship was not designed for passengers, but she crammed 17 people into every available space. They were crying, praying, or simply staring at nothing. By morning, the attack was over. The Valorans had won. Kira drifted through the debris field that had once been Earth's defense fleet. Twisted metal and frozen bodies floated past her window. She felt empty, hollow. Everything she had known was gone. Her communications officer, a young man named David, spoke quietly. "Commander, I am picking up scattered signals. Human survivors. They are hiding throughout the galaxy." Kira forced herself to focus. Grief could come later. Right now, she had to think. How many? I cannot tell. Millions, maybe. But they are scattered, disorganized, running. One signal caught Kira's attention. It was different from the others, coded. "Military encryption." "What is that?" she asked. David analyzed the signal. His eyes widened. "It is coming from the outer rim. It is Admiral Chen. He is alive. He is organizing something." Kira looked at the survivors huddled behind her. 17 scared, broken people, but they were alive. And somewhere out there, more humans were fighting to stay that way. She set a course for the outer rim. Her father had told her to survive. But survival was only the beginning. Humanity was not finished yet. 3 months had passed since the night. Humanity almost died. Kira guided her battered ship through the asteroid field carefully. The outer rim was dangerous territory, filled with drifting rocks and hidden dangers. But that was exactly why the survivors had chosen it. "The Valorans were afraid of this place," there David said, pointing at the scanner. "Behind that large asteroid, I am picking up human life signs." Kira flew closer and saw something that made her heart beat faster. Hidden in the shadow of a massive asteroid was a small city of connected ships and makeshift structures. Lights glowed from hundreds of windows. Humans were living here, surviving here. A voice crackled through her communicator. "Unidentified vessel, state your identity and purpose." "This is Commander Kira Vance of the patrol ship Starfall. I am carrying survivors. We are looking for Admiral Chen." There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, warmer this time. "Commander Vance, we thought you were dead. Welcome to Haven." Welven was humanity's last hope. Admiral Marcus Chen had built it from nothing in the weeks after the genocide. Ships that escaped the attack gathered here. Survivors who had nowhere else to go found shelter here. It was crowded, damaged, and barely functioning. But it was home. Kira met Admiral Chen in his command center, converted cargo bay filled with makeshift computers and tired officers. Chen was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had commanded humanity's largest battleship before the attack. Now he commanded whatever was left. 37 million, Chen said heavily. That is our best estimate of total survivors across all hidden locations. 37 million out of 12 billion. Kira felt the weight of that number. Humanity had been reduced to less than 1% of its population in a single night. What are we going to do? She asked. Survive. Hide. Hope they do not find us. Chen sounded exhausted. Some want to run. Find another galaxy far away from here. Others want revenge. They want to attack the Valorans with everything we have left. And you? Chen looked at her with eyes full of pain. I do not know anymore, Commander. I am a soldier without an army, defending a species without a home. Over the following weeks, Kira threw herself into work. She led reconnaissance missions, scouting Valoran movements, and searching for more survivors. Each mission was dangerous. Each mission brought back fewer people than she hoped, but one mission changed everything. Kira's team intercepted, damaged Valoran cargo ship near the border of civilized space. The ship was alone, far from any fleet. An easy target, they boarded it expecting supplies. Instead, they found answers. The Valoran crew surrendered quickly. They were not soldiers, just frightened workers caught in the wrong place. Kira ordered them taken to Haven for questioning. The interrogation revealed a truth that shook Kira to her core. We did not attack because we hated you, the Valoran prisoner said. He was young, barely an adult by Valoran standards. We attacked because we feared you, feared us. Kira could not hide her anger. We saved your entire species. We gave you everything. Yes. And that is what scared our leaders. The prisoner looked at the floor. Valoran scientists made projections. They calculated that human expansion and innovation would make your species the dominant power in the galaxy within 200 years. The High Council decided that it was better to destroy you now than to become irrelevant later. Kira stared at him in disbelief. You murdered 12 billion people because you were afraid of the future. I did not murder anyone. I am just a cargo worker. That is why the attack happened. Supreme Arbiter Xylox convinced the Council that humanity was too dangerous to exist. The news spread through Haven like fire. Some survivors were furious. Others were devastated. They had been killed not for anything they had done, but for something they might become. Admiral Chen called a meeting of all senior officers. The debate was heated. We should strike back now, one captain shouted. Hit them before they find us. With what? Another officer replied. We have 17 combat-capable ships against thousands, and we die fighting. We die accomplishing nothing. Kira listened quietly. Both sides had valid points. Revenge felt righteous. But it would accomplish nothing except making the Valorans feel justified. Then something unexpected happened. A sensor officer burst into the meeting. Admiral, a single Valoran ship is approaching Haven. It has dropped its shields and weapons. It is broadcasting a message requesting peaceful contact. Everyone froze. This could be a trick, a trap, the beginning of an attack. But Chen ordered the ship to dock. Under heavy guard, the Valoran who stepped off the ship was old. His silver skin had faded to gray, and he walked with the slow dignity of someone who had seen many years. He introduced himself as Elder Theron. I oppose the genocide, Theron said to the gathered humans. I spoke against it in the council. I warned that it would bring shame upon our species forever. For this I was exiled. My name was erased from Valoran records. I am officially dead. Why are you here? Chen asked suspiciously. To help. Theron reached into his robe and produced a small data device. This contains intelligence about Valoran military positions, fleet movements, and strategic weaknesses. The Valorans believe you are extinct. They are celebrating their victory. They are not prepared for resistance. Why would you betray your own people? Theron looked at Kira. His eyes were filled with genuine sorrow. Because what my people did was wrong. 150 years ago, humans could have let us die. It would have been easy. It would have been safe. Instead, your ancestors gave everything to save strangers they had never met. I remember that kindness. Many Valorans remember it, even if our leaders have forgotten. He paused and spoke words that Kira would never forget. They erased your homeworld. They killed your families. They believe they have destroyed you. But they do not understand the most important truth about humanity. You do not live in places. You live in each other. As long as one human survives, your species survives. The room was silent. Admiral Chen took the data device. We will verify this information. If it checks out, we will talk again. Theron nodded. I understand your caution. I have waited decades to make this choice. I can wait a little longer. Kira watched the old Valoran being led away to quarters. She did not trust him. Not yet. But something about his words resonated with her. 2 days later, Kira was reviewing Theron's intelligence when alarms suddenly filled Haven. Long-range sensors are detecting a massive Valoran fleet, David reported, his voice shaking. They are heading directly for us. Kira felt her blood turn cold. How long until they arrive? 72 hours. Maybe less. Someone had betrayed them. Someone had revealed their location. And now the Valorans were coming to finish what they had. Started 30-7 million humans had less. Then 3 days to disappear before the fleet arrived. Haven was in chaos. 30-7 million humans had to vanish into the darkness of space before the Valoran fleet arrived. Ships that could barely fly were being loaded with families. Engineers worked without sleep to repair engines. Mothers held crying children, while fathers carried whatever supplies they could grab. Admiral Chen stood in the command center, coordinating the impossible evacuation. His face showed no fear, only grim determination. The civilian transports leave first, he ordered. Military vessels will stay behind to cover their escape. Admiral, one of his captains, said carefully. If the military stays, they will not survive. We are outnumbered 50-1. I know. Kira stepped forward. Sir, let me stay with the defense fleet. Chen shook his head. No, I need you to lead the civilian convoy. You know the Outer Rim better than anyone. Sir, that is an order, Commander? Kira wanted to argue. She wanted to fight. But she looked around at the desperate faces of the refugees streaming past the window and understood. Someone had to make sure they survived. Someone had to carry humanity forward. Elder Theron approached her as she prepared to leave. The intelligence I brought was real, Commander. I did not betray you. Then how did they find us? I do not know. Perhaps a captured survivor talked under torture. Perhaps they simply searched until they found you. It does not matter now. What matters is what happens next. Kira looked at the old Valoran. Despite everything, she found herself believing him. Why do you care what happens to us? Theron was quiet for a moment. 80 years ago, my daughter was dying from a disease that Valoran medicine could not cure. A human doctor traveling through our sector heard about her case. He spent 6 months working on a treatment. He saved her life and asked for nothing in return. When I thanked him, he simply said that helping others is what humans do. Theron met her eyes. My people forgot that kindness. I never will. Kira nodded slowly. Then help us survive this. The evacuation continued through the night. Thousands of ships, of every size, launched into the void, scattering in different directions to make tracking impossible. Families were separated. Friends said goodbye for perhaps the last time. But nobody gave up. Nobody stopped fighting for one more hour of life when the Valoran fleet finally arrived. Only the military ships remained at Haven. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of his command ship, the last real warship humanity possessed. Around him floated 17 smaller vessels, crewed by volunteers who had chosen to stay. Against them came 2,000 Valoran warships, their weapons already charging. All ships, Chen said calmly over the communication channel. It has been an honor serving with you. Today we fight not for victory, but for time. Every minute we hold them here is another minute our families get further away. Make every second count. The battle began. Human ships were smaller, weaker, and fewer. But they were crewed by people with nothing left to lose and everything to protect. They fought with a fury that stunned the Valoran commanders. Captain Yuki Tanaka flew her damaged frigate directly into the path of a Valoran salt ship, detonating her engines at the last moment and taking the enemy vessel with her. Her final words were a prayer for her children who were fleeing on a transport ship. Somewhere in the darkness, Lieutenant Commander David Park used his ship to lure 3 Valoran destroyers into a mining field that had been hastily prepared. The explosions destroyed all 4 ships, but the Valoran advance was delayed by precious minutes. Admiral Chen's command ship held the center of the line, absorbing fire that would have destroyed the smaller vessels. His shields failed first, then his weapons. But still, he refused to retreat. "Sir," his first officer said, "the fleet is requesting permission to withdraw. We have bought enough time." Chen shook his head. "Not yet. The transports need more distance." The Valoran flagship moved toward them. Its weapons locked onto Chen's crippled ship. Chen activated his final transmission. "Commander Vance, this is Admiral Chen. I am transmitting all tactical data we have gathered during this battle. The Valorans have a weakness in their shield harmonics. Our scientists discovered it during the fighting. Use this information wisely." Kira's voice came back, broken by static, but clear enough. "Admiral, please retreat. We need you. You need survivors, Commander. You need hope. I am giving you both." Chen smiled sadly. "Tell the others that humanity does not surrender. We do not give up. We do not disappear quietly. We fight until our last breath, not because we think we will win, but because that is who we are." The communication ended as the Valoran flagship opened fire. Kira watched the sensor reading that represented Admiral Chen's ship blink once and disappear. She closed her eyes and felt tears running down her cheeks. Another good person gone. Another hero reduced to scattered atoms in the cold void of space. But she could not mourn now. She had a convoy to protect and a species to save. 3 days later, the civilian fleet regrouped at a prearranged location far from Valoran space. 31 million survivors had made it. 6 million had been lost during the evacuation or the battle. Kira was reviewing the casualty reports when her communication officer called her. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission. It is not human." Kira tensed. "Valoran. No. The signal is coming from Cathari space." The Cathari were one of the major galactic powers. They had remained silent since the Genocide, neither condemning nor supporting the Valoran attack. Kira had assumed they simply did not care. She accepted the transmission. A Cathari face appeared on her screen. The species looked vaguely reptilian, with green scales and large golden eyes. "Commander Vance," the Cathari said, "my name is Ambassador Sarath. I represent the Cathari Dominion. What do you want?" "To help." Sarath's voice was surprisingly warm. "We have been watching events unfold with great concern. The Cathari do not approve of genocide. You did nothing to stop it." "We were afraid," Sarath admitted. "The Valorans are powerful. We did not want to become their next target. But we have been discussing the situation, and we have decided that fear is not a good enough reason for silence." Kira leaned forward. "What are you offering?" "Sanctuary, resources, ships, whatever you need to rebuild." Sarath paused. 80 years ago, when our people suffered a terrible plague, humanity sent medical ships to help us. Your species asked for nothing in return. The Cathari, remember our debts, Commander? We are finally ready to repay that kindness. More transmissions began arriving. The Morvani Collective, whose trade routes humanity had protected from pirates, the Zillan Federation, whose first contact with humans had been peaceful and respectful. Species after species reached out with offers of help. Kira realized something that changed everything. Humanity had spent centuries being kind to strangers. They had helped when they did not have to. They had protected those who could not protect themselves. They had given without expecting repayment. Now, when humanity needed help the most, those strangers were coming forward. Elder Theron stood beside her as the offers continued arriving. "This is what I meant, Commander. Humans live in each other, but you also live in the hearts of everyone you have ever helped. The Valorans tried to erase you from the galaxy. Instead, they reminded the galaxy why humanity matters." Kira looked at the growing list of allies and felt something she had not felt since the night of the attack. Hope. "We are not going to run," she said quietly. "We are not going to hide forever. We are going to make the Valorans answer for what they did." Theron nodded. "What do you have in mind?" Kira thought about her father's final words. She thought about Admiral Chen's sacrifice. She thought about all the humans who had died so that others could live. Justice, she said. Not revenge. Justice. And we are going to deliver it in a way that the entire galaxy will never forget. 1 year had passed since the genocide. Humanity had changed. They were no longer the innocent, trusting species that had welcomed the Valorans as brothers. They were survivors. They were fighters. They were preparing for war. But not the kind of war the Valorans expected. Kira stood in the war room of their new hidden base, surrounded by human officers and representatives from allied species. On the main screen was a map of Valoran space, covered with tactical markers and strategic points. Operation Phoenix, Kira announced. Our goal is not destruction. It is justice. We will strike Valoran military installations, cripple their ability to wage war, and capture Supreme Arbiter Xylox alive. He will stand trial before the entire galaxy. A Cathari admiral spoke up. My fleet is ready to support your attack. We will provide covering fire and cut off Valoran reinforcements, Morvani commander added. Our ships will disable their communication networks. They will not be able to call for help. Kira nodded gratefully. 1 year ago, humanity had been alone. Now they had allies who believed in them. The Valorans had tried to isolate humanity. Instead, their cruelty had united the galaxy against them. But not everyone agreed with the plan. After the meeting, a group of human officers approached Kira. Their leader was Captain Marcus Webb, a man who had lost his entire family in the genocide. Commander Webb said stiffly, "Many of us believe this plan is too soft. The Valorans killed 12 billion people. They deserve extinction, not a trial." Kira understood his anger. She felt it herself, burning in her chest every time she thought about her father. I know how you feel, Captain. Believe me, I do. Then why are we holding back? We have allies now. We have weapons. We could wipe them out completely. And then what? Kira asked quietly. We become exactly what they accused us of being. We proved that they were right to fear us. Webb clenched his fists. They were never right. They murdered us because of something we might do in the future. Something that was never going to happen. Exactly. Kira met his eyes. They killed us based on a lie. If we respond with genocide of our own, we make that lie true. We become monsters. And every species in the galaxy that is helping us now will ask themselves if they are next. Elder Theron stepped forward. He had become a trusted advisor over the past year, working tirelessly to help humanity rebuild. Captain Webb, I understand your pain. What my people did to your species is the greatest crime in galactic history. But if humans respond with equal cruelty, the Valorans will have destroyed you completely. Not your bodies, but your souls. Webb stared at Theron for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away without another word. Kira watched him go with sadness. She knew that many humans felt the same way. The desire for revenge was powerful. It would take all of her strength to keep humanity on the right path. 3 days later, Operation Phoenix began. Human and allied forces struck simultaneously across 12 Valoran systems. Military bases, weapons factories, shipyards, all were hit at the same time. The Valorans were completely surprised. They had been celebrating humanity's extinction for a year. They never expected the dead to rise. Kira led the main assault force directly toward the Valoran capital world. Their target was the Supreme Council building where Xylox commanded his empire of fear. The space battle was intense. Valoran defense fleets fought desperately to protect their leaders. But the combined human and allied force was stronger than anyone had expected. Ships that had been hiding for a year now unleashed all their fury. Kira's assault shuttle broke through the orbital defenses and descended toward the capital city. Her team was the best humanity had left. Veterans who had survived the genocide and trained for this moment, they landed on the roof of the Supreme Council building and fought their way down through level after level of Valoran guards. Kira moved with cold precision, stunning enemies rather than killing them when possible. She wanted Xylox to see that humans were not the savages he had claimed. Finally, they reached the command center. Xylox was waiting for them. The Supreme Arbiter was tall and proud, his silver skin gleaming under the emergency lights. He showed no fear as Kira's team surrounded him. If anything, he looked amused. "Commander Vance," he said calmly, "the daughter of the ambassador. I remember your father begging for mercy before Unity Station exploded." Kira felt rage surge through her body. Her hand tightened on her weapon. It would be so easy to end him right now. One shot, and the architect of humanity's near extinction would be dead. But she forced herself to stay calm. "My father never begged. He died saving children while your people murdered innocents." Xylox smiled coldly. "Necessary casualties? Humanity was too dangerous to exist. Your species grows too fast, adapts too quickly, dreams too big. In 200 years, you would have dominated the galaxy. We simply acted in self-defense." "Self-defense?" Kira stepped closer. "We saved your species from extinction. We gave you everything. And we thanked you by removing the threat before it could grow." Xylox's eyes narrowed. "But it seems we failed. You survived. You rebuilt. You proved exactly why we were right to fear you." He reached slowly into his robe. Kira's team raised their weapons, but Xylox only pulled out a small device with a single button. "This is connected to automated weapon platforms hidden throughout the galaxy," Xylox explained. "They are aimed at your remaining colonies, your hidden bases. The ships carrying your children? If I press this button, they will fire in 6 hours. If I die, they will fire immediately." The room went silent. Xylox smiled triumphantly. "So you see, Commander, you have a choice. Kill me and satisfy your revenge while dooming your species. Or spare me and watch helplessly as I escape justice forever. Either way, I win. This is who you are. Animals who cannot think beyond the moment." Kira stared at the device in his hand. Everything she had worked for, everything humanity had sacrificed, all of it hung on this moment. Then she lowered her weapon. "You spent 150 years studying us," she said quietly, "and you still understand nothing about who we are." She turned to her team. "Take him alive. Do not harm him." Xylox looked confused for the first time. "What are you doing?" Kira ignored him. She activated her communicator. "All Coalition forces, this is Commander Vance. We have captured Xylox, but he has a contingency. Automated weapons platforms are targeting our civilian locations. We have 6 hours to find and disable them." She looked back at Xylox. "You think we are animals? You think we cannot think beyond the moment? Watch us, Arbiter. Watch what humans do when everything is on the line." Across the galaxy, human and allied teams launched into action. Elder Theron mobilized Valoran dissidents who knew the locations of some platforms. Allied intelligence agencies shared everything they had. Ships that had been resting raced toward distant coordinates. Xylox watched in growing disbelief as reports came in. Platform after platform was being disabled. His perfect trap was falling apart. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How are you coordinating this?" Kira smiled grimly. "Because we do not stand alone. Because for 150 years, humans helped everyone we could. And now when we needed help, they answered." The hours ticked by. One by one, the weapon platforms went silent. Some were destroyed. Others were captured. A few required dangerous boarding actions, where human soldiers risked their lives to disable the weapons manually. With 10 minutes remaining on the countdown, only one platform remained active. It was hidden near a Valoran civilian colony. Destroying it would kill thousands of innocent Valorans. Kira made the call without hesitation. "Send in the precision team. Disable it manually. Do not harm the colony, Commander. That mission is almost certainly suicide. Then ask for volunteers." 12 humans volunteered within seconds. They knew the risks. They went anyway. With 4 minutes remaining, the final platform went offline. The volunteers survived. The colony was untouched. Xylox stared at nothing, his perfect plan destroyed by the species he had tried to exterminate. Kira stood over him, feeling something she had not expected. Not triumph, Not satisfaction, just exhaustion. You were wrong about us, she said. We are not what you feared. We never were. And now the whole galaxy knows the truth. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Representatives from 37 different species filled the massive auditorium. Some had traveled for weeks to be here. Others watched through holographic projections from their distant homeworlds. Everyone wanted to witness this moment. Everyone wanted to see justice delivered. Kira stood at the center of the chamber, facing the assembled leaders of the galaxy. Behind her, Supreme Arbiter Zilix sat in a containment field, his silver skin dull under the harsh lights. He had not spoken since his capture 3 days ago. His perfect confidence had finally broken. We are here today, Kira began, to seek justice for a crime that has no equal in galactic history. 1 year ago, the Valoran species launched a coordinated attack against humanity. 12 billion people were killed in a single night. Earth, the birthplace of our species, was destroyed. Our colonies were burned. Our children were murdered in their beds. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle over the assembly. The Valorans did this not because we threatened them, not because we attacked them, not because we wronged them in any way. They did this because they were afraid of what we might become in the future. They killed 12 billion innocent people to prevent something that had not happened and might never have happened. Chamber remained perfectly silent. Kira walked towards Zilix. 150 years ago, humanity discovered the Valoran species dying from a plague. We had nothing to gain by helping them. We had everything to lose, but we helped anyway. We shared our medicine, our food, our technology. We worked beside them until they were saved. We asked for nothing in return except friendship. She turned back to the council, and they repaid us with genocide. A Ketheri judge leaned forward. Commander Vance, the evidence against the Valoran leadership is overwhelming. The guilty verdict is certain. We must now discuss punishment. What does humanity request? This was the moment Kira had been dreading and anticipating for a year. Every survivor was watching. Every human who had lost someone in the genocide wanted to hear her answer. Humanity requests justice, she said, not revenge. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Kira raised her hand for silence. I could stand here and demand that the Valorans suffer as we suffered. I could call for their worlds to burn as ours burned. I could demand an eye for an eye until everyone is blind. She shook her head. But that is not who we are. That is not who we have ever been. She looked directly at Zilix. You tried to destroy us because you feared what we might become. You believed that humans would eventually dominate the galaxy through force. You convinced your people that we were monsters hiding behind smiles. You were wrong. Kira addressed the council again. Humanity asks for the following punishment. First, the Valoran military will be reduced to defensive capabilities only. They will never again have the power to threaten another species with extinction. Second, the Valoran government will pay reparations to support human survivors for the next 100 years. Third, the leaders who planned and executed the genocide will spend the rest of their lives imprisoned, with full access to human history and culture, so they can finally understand the people they tried to destroy. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species thought the punishment was too light. Others were amazed by humanity's restraint. The Zillan representative spoke up. Commander Vance, many would call this mercy. After what the Valorans did, you have every right to demand more. Kira nodded. Yes, we do. But rights and wisdom are not the same thing. If we respond to genocide with genocide, we become what they feared. If we show mercy, we prove that their fear was baseless. The choice we make today defines who humanity will be for the next 1,000 years. She looked at all the watching faces from all the different species. 150 years ago, humans saved the Valorans because helping others is what we do. Today, we choose mercy because showing compassion is what we do. This is not weakness. This is strength. The strength to be better than those who wronged us. The council voted. The punishment was approved exactly as Kira had requested. As Zilix was led away to his prison, he finally spoke. You will regret this. You should have killed us all. One day, we will rise again. And no, Kira interrupted. You will not. Because you will spend the rest of your life surrounded by our stories, our music, our art, our history. You will learn about the billions of people you murdered. You will know their names, their dreams, their hopes. And one day, maybe years from now, you will finally understand the weight of what you destroyed. That will be your true punishment. Xelox had no response. Guards escorted him out of the chamber. The trial was over. But humanity's work was just beginning. In the months that followed, everything changed. Human survivors began building new colonies on worlds provided by their allies. The Cathari gave them a beautiful planet and a peaceful sector. The Morvani helped construct new cities. The Xylon shared technology that would help humanity rebuild faster, but the most surprising development came from the Valorans. Themselves, Elder Theron led a movement of Valoran reformists who had opposed the genocide from the beginning. Thousands of them volunteered to help with reconstruction. They worked alongside humans, building homes, planting gardens, and slowly healing old wounds. It was not easy. Many humans could not forgive. Many Valorans could not accept their shame. There were conflicts, misunderstandings, and setbacks. But there was also progress. Slowly, painfully, two species that had been enemies began to find a way forward together. 1 year after the trial, Kira attended the dedication of a new memorial on the world that had become humanity's new capital. It was a simple structure of white stone, inscribed with the names of every person who had died in the genocide. All 12 billion of them. At the center stood a statue of a human and a Valoran child. Holding hands, Kira had argued against that part of the design. It seemed too soon, too hopeful. But the survivors had voted overwhelmingly in favor. They wanted to show the galaxy that humanity was looking forward, not backward. Elder Theron stood beside her as she looked at the memorial. I have lived for many years, the old Valoran said. I have seen wars and disasters and terrible mistakes, but I have never seen anything like humanity. What do you mean? You had every reason to hate us forever. You had the power to destroy us completely. Instead, you chose forgiveness. You chose to teach us rather than punish us. You chose hope over despair. Theron shook his head in wonder. No other species in the galaxy could have done what you have done. Kira thought about her father's last words. Never forget that humanity's greatest strength is not our weapons or our technology. It is our heart. My father used to say that being human is not about where you come from or what you look like. It is about how you treat others. He believed that kindness was the most powerful force in the universe. He was right, Theron said. And because of him, because of people like him, the galaxy is better today than it was yesterday. That evening, Kira stood on the bridge of humanity's new flagship, the ESS Remember Earth, through the windows. She could see stars stretching endlessly in every direction. Somewhere out there, new human colonies were growing. New generations were being born. New stories were being written. A young ensign approached her nervously. Commander Vance, may I ask you something? Of course. Do you think the Valorans will ever truly change? After everything they did, can they really become better? Kira considered the question carefully. I do not know. Maybe they will. Maybe they will not. But that was never the point. Then what is the point? 150 years ago, the Valorans were dying, and we gave them everything we had to save them. They repaid us with fire and death. But we did not save them because we expected repayment. We saved them because that is what humans do. We help others not because they deserve it, but because we believe everyone deserves a chance. She looked at the young ensign with a gentle smile. Maybe, in another 150 years, they will finally understand why. And if they do not, well, we will still be here. Still being human. Still choosing hope over fear and mercy over revenge. The ensign nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. Kira turned back to the stars. Set course for the new colony on Kira Prime. We have settlers to deliver and futures to build. The ship hummed with power as it prepared to jump to hyperspace. Humanity was scarred. Humanity was diminished. But humanity was not broken. They had lost their homeworld, but they had found something more important. They had found out who they truly were when everything was taken from them, and the galaxy would never forget. The ship jumped, carrying humanity toward tomorrow, toward hope, toward the future they would build with their own hands, one act of kindness at a time.